Hi, Kutha here. As a couple people have probably seen in some of my videos, I have mentioned that I am an agnostic, which by what that means basically is you bring up the subject of, like, say, God, and an agnostic, generally, depending on the type of agnostic they are, will answer back that they don't know. Um, Type of agnostic I am, I answer back, I don't know, never met the guy. Um, and I figured, maybe I should do a video on that, explain a little bit further along uh, why I'm agnostic and, how that means to me. Um, so I did a little bit of looking into it because I realized that I actually, other than what I knew comparatively about it, I realized I actually didn't know a lot about it. Um, I knew an agnostic neither claims or disclaims the existence of certain things, but it I felt that probably I should take a little bit of a closer look into it because I think everybody should take a little bit of a closer look into whatever belief system it is they have. And mind you, I'm going to try to keep this quick. I told people that I would try to keep my videos under 10 minutes. So I started out first with Wikipedia. I know a lot of people give other people flack for using Wikipedia, but it is actually a really great place to start when you need to find information because generally at the end of the articles, there is a listing of places where that information has been cited, which can then springboard you into going on and finding out even more in greater detail. Um, I kind of like it for that. So now, going by Wikipedia, instead of agnosticism, or the word agnostic itself, didn't pop up until about 1869 when Thomas Henry Huxley used it. Um, the viewpoints of agnosticism were actually around a lot longer than that, though. There is one that goes back to a thing called the Rig Veda, which is an ancient Hindu religious text dating back to 1700 to 1100 BC during the early Vedic period. It's been around for a while. It's been around since before the Bible. Those particular viewpoints that have now become known as agnosticism. And like I said, a lot of people who claim it it really caught me off guard that there's actually a decent list. Like I said, there's Thomas Henry Huxley, um, who's that other guy? Robert G. Ingersoll, who's nicknamed the Great Agnostic. Um, Bertrand Russell, who actually his thing on agnosticism actually started out as a pamphlet called "Why I'm Not Christian," which was based on a speech, and then later became included into a book of the same title. And I was just like, wow. I mean, talk about evolving a theory. Just moving along and further expanding upon it. Even to what some people consider, like Richard Dawkins, who's known as being an atheist. Even he said, because he came up with a system, a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being the lowest on there. Let's see, and a 1 being someone knowing 1%, 100% probability that there is a God. And then, as he himself put it about this, he rates himself as a 6 on his own scale, leaning towards 7. So that would probably put him about a 6.5. But he said, I know that there is no God. I cannot know for certain, but I think that God is a very improbable, and I live my life on the assumption that he is not there. And about himself, he continues, I am agnostic only to the extent that I am agnostic about the fairies at the bottom of the garden. You know? So, I mean, even Dawkins has put some thought into it. You know, even though he's an atheist, he does acknowledge that he does have some agnostic tendencies. And it really surprised me, to read that stuff. Especially, like I said, that part on Dawkins, because everything I knew about him, everything pointed to him being an atheist. So it's nice to know that he actually had that little bit in there to where he acknowledges that he does have some agnostic views. Not a whole bunch, but they're there. For me, where agnosticism comes into my life, um, kind of goes back to it was like a pretty dark time in my life. I was like 23, 24, and was just um, going through a really bad time. Um, I drank way too much. I did a few more drugs than I probably ever should have. And I started to realize that at the time where I was calling myself an atheist was incorrect. Um, because I was starting to think about, because like, when people are in bad times, they stay there for a while, they think about other bad things that have happened and they just dwell on them. You know, I was quite the depressed person at the time. And one thing that actually helped get me out of that was I thought about a bad thing that happened to my sister when she was very young, like 2 or 3. She had got ran over by a car, and somehow her leg during that process got pulled into the undercarriage of the car, and she got drugged about 3, 4 feet. And it, the lady that was driving the car had heard my sister scream, stopped the car, and managed not to freak out. Call 911, and after an hour, they got her out of the car, took her to the hospital, and the doctors there, after they fixed her leg because they thought they were going to have to do surgery, but it just turned out her leg was severely bruised and twisted around. It had been dislocated at the hip. But other than some severe bruising, she was okay. And the doctors were kind of surprised by that. They had put a note into the medical file on her that incident should have tore her leg off. And that got me thinking over the course of a year about about how I was looking at the world, things that were going on in my life, and eventually came to the realization that I actually wasn't an atheist. I was an agnostic because there were just so many things as an atheist that were just actually kind of sitting there and I couldn't explain them rationally. You know, I had to, as an atheist, step out beyond the atheist box and then would like sit there and just kind of hate myself for having to do that because I was not staying true to myself basically. There were just too many things that I could not ignore that basically made me realize that I kind of needed to tweak my thinking a little bit, because I had seen, and up to that time I'd seen weird things happen that just there was no rational explanation. I saw a guy grab another guy and literally heft him over his head into a glass window, which should have shattered upon impact. Instead, the guy bounced off of it. And I know that the window was just a glass window. You know, I remember walking to work and passing by as they were installing it, and it was just a glass window. Like I said, with my sister, things like that I just had to sit there and I was just like, I don't have a rational, reasonable explanation for these things happening. Really say that it's like, oh, it was God coming down and God stopped that guy from breaking that window. God stopped the car from ripping my sister's leg off. I don't know. Uh, it's just one of those things that when I saw that, and I mean, and other things that I've seen in my life, that I'm just along the lines of, I can't really explain it. I don't know how it happened, but I'm also okay with that too. Because maybe no, who knows? Someday later down the line, I'll find out why the guy didn't break the window. I'll find out why my sister is still here when maybe the possible information comes available at the time. But if not, you know, I'll be fine not knowing as well. I can easily say, because I am an agnostic, I don't know. And I'm okay with that. So, anyway, thanks for your time. I will see you guys around. Take it easy.